Welcome, explorers of the impossible. Today we submerge ourselves in the swamps of Florida, the scene of an ecological war waged against an unstoppable predator, the Burmese python. They have devoured almost all the wildlife of the Everglades, creating a silent apocalypse. But when science and hunters joined forces, what happened afterwards surprised everyone. If you are passionate about the unexpected twists of nature, give this video a like and leave a comment before starting to unravel this story. The history of Florida is a vibrant tapestry woven with sun, tourism, and a unique biodiversity. However, under the appearance of palm trees and crystal-clear waters, a silent war has been waged for decades, an ecological battle that defines the modern struggle against invasive species. The premise of the python apocalypse in Florida is not a dramatic exaggeration. It is a biological fact attested by the numbers. And what happened after the state waged a total war against this threat, in effect, surprises everyone. The protagonist of this catastrophe is the Burmese python, Python vividatus, a giant constrictor, endemic to Southeast Asia, which found an inadvertent paradise in the Everglades ecosystem. Its introduction dates back to the end of the 20th century, the result of irresponsibility in the exotic pet trade, and, tragically, it accelerated after Hurricane Andrew in 1992, which freed hundreds of reproductive specimens into the wild. This was the moment of transport, followed by establishment and propagation. What came afterwards was the impact, the apocalypse. Biologists soon discovered that the Burmese python was not just another big snake, it was the new super predator of the Everglades, a cryptic and generalist killing machine that lacked natural enemies. Its catastrophic impact was quantified with chilling precision. Between 1997 and 2012, populations of raccoons and opossums in some parts of the Everglades National Park fell more than 98%. Populations of bobcats plummeted 87.5%. The rich mammalian wildlife of South Florida simply disappeared. The swamp, formerly a bustling nocturnal ecosystem, became, in the words of one observer, eerily silent. The stage was set. The python had triumphed. The only way to avoid total collapse was to declare a war of eradication. But this would not be an easy war. The enemy, capable of reaching more than 5 meters in length and 90 kilograms in weight, and of swallowing prey the size of a white-tailed deer, was perfectly camouflaged in the vast and dense swamps. The surprise would not reside in the magnitude of the struggle, but in the strategy, the tenacity, and the unexpected synergy that would emerge between science, the state, hunters for hire, and, curiously, the fashion industry. To understand the ferocity of the python, one must analyze its biology. The Burmese python is a master of adaptation. Its cryptic coloration allows it to disappear in the mud and vegetation. Its mandibular bones, not fused in the front, and its incredibly elastic skin allow it to swallow prey of surprising dimensions, as science has documented, from birds and rabbits to juvenile alligators. A single female specimen can lay between 50 and 100 eggs at a time, guaranteeing an exponential demographic explosion that mocks control efforts. The decline of mammals, vital for the balance of the Everglades, was the clearest alarm signal. Small animals, which are the base of the food chain for native predators such as panthers and birds of prey, ceased to exist in vast areas. The python had climbed to the top of the food chain, becoming the apex predator in an ecosystem that was not prepared for a constrictor of that size and appetite. This imbalance not only affected mammals, it also impacted plant species that depended on them for seed dispersal. The python apocalypse was, in essence, the rewriting of Florida's ecology by an invasive force. The government of Florida, through the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, FWC, and the South Florida Water Management District, SFWMD, recognized the threat and responded with an unprecedented investment in elimination programs. The Burmese python was cataloged as a prohibited reptile. The war had begun in earnest, but conventional tactics were not enough. The enemy was too elusive. Florida's response to the python apocalypse evolved from failed attempts to a multifaceted approach, combining cutting-edge science with the pure and simple tenacity of human hunting. The Python Elimination Program was created, which formalized a new profession, the Python Elimination Specialist, a modern type of bounty hunter with an ecological mission. These hunters, like Donna Khalil, who has captured hundreds of specimens, are not mere amateurs. They are agents for hire, often veterans of the swamp who spend hours under the sun and rain, on foot or in airboats, searching for the cryptic shape of the python. Their work is dirty, dangerous, and requires an intimate knowledge of the habitat. The agents not only capture and humanely sacrifice the animals, following strict ethical guidelines that include the immediate loss of consciousness and the destruction of the brain to avoid suffering, but also collect crucial data on the weight, length, and location of each snake. The state offered incentives to mobilize the community. The famous Florida Python Challenge became an annual event that attracted hundreds of participants from across the country, all competing for cash prizes by removing the largest number of snakes. Figures like those from 2024, which saw participants remove almost 200 pythons in the contest, illustrate the mobilization of the base. But the true sign of the intensity of the war was the change in metrics. Counting pythons became insufficient. The Conservancy of Southwest Florida, one of the leading organizations in research and removal, began to account for the total biomass removed. It was then that the first truly impressive milestone was reached. The Conservancy's program exceeded 20 tons of Burmese pythons removed from a small area of 200 square miles since 2013. A single record season reached 6,300 pounds. The war was no longer measured in the quantity of individuals, but in the crushing weight of the threat that was being extracted from the ecosystem. This large-scale effort, more than 22,000 pythons eliminated by state programs and contractors since the year 2000, demonstrated Florida's willingness not to surrender to the apocalypse. However, given the reproductive capacity of the constrictor, many experts maintained a cautious pessimism, admitting that total eradication was almost impossible. We have seen how these pythons devoured entire ecosystems. The number is shocking, but the strategy that the scientists developed is even more audacious. Do you think humanity can win this war against the super predator of the Everglades? Tell me in the comments right now. And if this epic battle is hooking you, subscribe to the channel to support content that leaves you breathless. Now to the most surprising part. This is where the most surprising twist in this story comes in, a testament to the effectiveness of strategic science. If manual snake elimination, however impressive in volume, could not overcome the reproduction rate, the only hope was to attack the source of procreation. The key turned out to be the Scout Snake Program, an initiative that combined field biology with radio telemetry tracking technology. Biologists, led by experts like Ian Bartasek, began capturing male pythons, often smaller and easier to find, and implanted GPS collars in them. These males, called scout snakes, were then released. The principle is simple and brilliant. During the reproductive season, the scout snakes' males are attracted to the reproductive females. The biologists track the males to their destination, which is invariably a massive female, often one that is laying eggs. Instead of hunting snakes at random, scientists were using the pythons themselves to locate the supermothers that represented the greatest reproductive threat. The impact of this method was immediate and quantifiable. By capturing and humanely sacrificing these reproductive females, the Conservancy's program managed to prevent more than 20,000 eggs from hatching since 2013. This was the first milestone of genuine containment, stopping the catastrophe before it was born. But the real surprise, the what happened afterwards that exceeded expectations, was the finding reported by the same field biologists. Long-term monitoring of the Scout Snake program began to show a change in behavior and demographics. The scout males were increasingly struggling to locate mates, or the females they managed to find were consistently smaller in size. This finding was a silent echo of victory. For the first time in decades, there was tangible proof that removal efforts were not only keeping the population at bay, but were actively suppressing the local reproductive capacity of the Burmese pythons. The local ecosystem was starting to recover. The hunters had not won the entire war, but they had triumphed in the battle of reproduction, and that was the sign that surprised everyone, demonstrating that reversal was possible. The python apocalypse in Florida is a lesson on how an ecological crisis can generate human ingenuity. The elimination of more than 20 tons of invasive biomass and reproductive suppression are astounding achievements. But the story holds a final twist, an epilogue that turns disaster into sustainability. The second great surprise is the one that connects the mud of the Everglades with the storefront of the shops. The python became a resource. Ecologically conscious fashion companies have partnered with removal programs to collect the skin of the captured specimens. This skin, which would otherwise be waste, is being reused in luxury items such as footwear, replacing high-impact materials such as petroleum-derived plastics. Suddenly, a problem became a zero-waste sustainability solution. The skin of the Burmese python, the emblem of Florida's ecological terror, is being transformed into a desired product. This development created an economic cycle that financially supports the elimination programs and simultaneously converts the predator into a source of income for the state, providing an additional incentive for the specialists. Florida and its war against the Burmese python is far from over. The challenge persists, and vigilance must be perpetual. However, the trajectory of the apocalypse has changed. What began as ecological devastation has evolved into an epic of perseverance, biological innovation, the use of the snakes themselves as trackers, and an unexpected commercial alliance. The true surprise was not that the pythons disappeared, but that the human being found the way, through strategic science and tireless tenacity, to bend the curve of the catastrophe, silencing the reproductive success of the predator and, for the first time, returning tangible hope to the heart of the Everglades. The collapse was avoided not only with brute force, but with intelligence, using the pythons themselves to track the source of the problem. It is a reminder that the ecological battle is winnable. What other invasive species do you think needs such an ingenious plan? Share it with a friend who loves survival stories. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. See you next time, and may science be with you.